Hello my fellow readers. In this video I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about a visual novel. I was weighing whether or not I wanted to do this, but I thought, you know what, this does fit into the whole literature genre. Visual novels are essentially video games that are like a choose your own adventure book. So you will get to see representations of the characters. You talk and interact with the character as the main character, but at the same time, all of the dialogue and actions are predetermined. So it's not really like you choosing each event for your character. You're basically following a story until you get to a certain point that will put you onto the path of the next section. In my case today, I'm going to talk about an otome game. So what that normally means is your choices will put you onto a route or a route. For where I come from, we say route. But it will put you on the path of usually a specific character that is more of a love interest. And it leads to a specific ending. Well, your choices will lead to specific endings because you can get a bad ending. Sometimes you can get a normal ending. Sometimes you can get the happy ending. I always try for getting the happy ending, and then if I have to achieve like the normal ending or a bad ending for like trophies or whatever, or you'll get images that you can collect throughout the work. I will do those paths to unlock all of the images and get all the trophies for the game. But then, I quit. I don't like to get like the bad endings unless I have to. Normal endings I'm okay with getting, and obviously the happy ending is always the goal. So yeah, I decided I will talk about a visual novel because it's a novel. It's just game version novel, and I like that it's very much like choose your own adventure because those books were fun as a kid. So today, and this may be something that I do like monthly or until I run out of games. So I keep going like today, but then I'm going to jump to something else. But essentially, when I got sick, I picked up my visual novel again. I had started playing visual novels on my Vita like years ago, and then I got too busy with work and life, so I would only pick it up occasionally. And I've had it set down for a while. I think a big part too is I started playing other games like on my Switch, whereas this was my old Vita. So I just I let it go. But then I decided to get back into it, and I'm glad that I did. And so now I have like a backlog, I guess, of games that were for my Vita that I want to finish. And so I'm thinking maybe I'll try to review like maybe one a month. And then I have some for my Switch. And I also have some visual novels on my computer for my Steam account. So we'll see how long I stick with doing this. There's still a lot I want to play. So as long as I can get the time and keep playing, I will review them as well. But today I'm going to talk about kind of one of the big ones, especially in the otome game field. It's been around for a while. And you can still get today. They've ported it to the Switch, and you can also get like the PlayStation, I think 4. I don't think they released one for 5, but you can get PlayStation 4 version of the game as well. And that is Code Realize, Guardian of Rebirth. The little Vita case was so small and cute. So yeah, I had that for the Vita, which is what it was originally released on. And then I also have the 2 sequel games, but they're really more like bonus content discs than like true game sequels. The next one was Future Blessings. And then if I'm not mistaken, it's Wintertide Memories was the last game. So Code Realize. I don't remember how I got pulled into this, to be honest. I know that it was sometime probably after I defeated Mystic Messenger that I was like, you know what, I want to play more like otome games. And Code Realize was like promoted everywhere. It was still pretty new at the time, and especially to the States. And it I don't know. I got pulled in. I was like searching for like recommendations, and this was one of the highest ones. And it's still often recommended for an otome game to play. And, you know, then I looked further into it. I like that most of the characters have literary based names, and I'll explain that more when I get more into the game. And I also like that one of the characters is voiced by Junichi Sawabe, who is very prolific in the anime and voiceover field. You may know him as Victor Nikiforov from Yuri on Ice, or from his work in Utapri if you like shoujo like I do. But he's also appeared in like Bungo Stray Dogs and just like everything. Pretty much if you look him up, he's been in like everything. So I was like, okay, I know the acting's going to be good. It has other great actors too. Like I'm just mentioning Soabe because he's been in like everything. And the artwork looked great too. I mean, that is a plus for Code Realize. The artwork is gorgeous. It's really well done. I wish that some of the character poses had like more action, I guess, if that makes sense. Like when you're talking to them, I'm playing the game Period Cube right now, and when you talk to the characters, like there's like a static look, but at the same time like they'll blink and sometimes like their mouths move or whatever. Code Realize doesn't really do that. It's more like the static image, and they might like have image 2, so it'll be like image 1, image 2, but they won't like have other movement, if that makes sense. So now let's get to story-wise. That's why I picked it up. And then story-wise, I thought the story was very interesting too. It's a steampunk, like from Victorian era England, and we follow Cardia. She's discovered in her manor house in Wales, where she's kind of been forced to live alone and be a recluse. We know that somehow her father has disappeared, so she doesn't know where he is, but she has been keeping to herself all alone. And you'll discover, you know, as she continues her message, her body contains a poison, and part of that comes from the horologium that's like across her chest. It looks like a heart, and there's like, I don't know, almost like petals. So it's all like embedded on her chest. And she has a poison throughout her whole body that if her skin touches anything, it will dissolve. And I know what you're thinking, then does she have clothing? And apparently there's some chemical thing that will allow her clothes to be treated so that she doesn't dissolve her clothing. But yes, any silverware that she uses, all of her clothing, bedding and whatnot has to be like specially treated so that she doesn't dissolve everything. So a really bad poison. Also, she emits the poison as well. So if she is in an enclosed space for too long, her body will actually like secrete the poison and will poison others around her. So it's like a gas that is also released. So she's been living a pretty sad life with little to no human interaction. And then suddenly, the one that's really the true lead in the piece and the route that you have to do all the others in order to unlock, you meet the gentleman thief, Arsène Lupin. So literary character number 1. But you meet him and he comes in. I don't remember if he was trying to steal the horologium or if he was just looking for her father. I don't remember, but anyway, they meet. He says, "Take my hand and I will take you away from here," and whatever. And obviously she wears gloves. Just it's up there if you're like, no, don't take his hand. So she agrees, and he asks her like what she wants the most, and essentially she just wants to be able to touch people and interact with people like a regular human. And so Lupin says that he will try his best to make her wish come true. And yeah, you meet his compatriot, Impy, another literary figure who is really into mechanical stuff, and he was like driving the getaway car. I should have mentioned that. Like, there's like villagers and whatever that are trying to like kill Cardia because they see her as a monster. So they help to get her out of there. Just a heads up, that also happened. So, and there's also figures in the background. There's an organization known as Twilight that's also trying to get to Cardia, and I don't remember if they also want to find information about her father, but essentially she's kind of being used as a piece, like a special weapon, so they want to get at her. In her travels with Lupin and Impy, they end up at the manor house of Saint-Germain, who I think is the only one that's named after a historical figure and not a book figure. They meet Victor Frankenstein, who is a good bonus for Cardia because he's exploring ways to subdue the poison in her, and just checks up on medical health and knowledge in general. He knows all of that stuff. And then you meet Abraham Van Helsing, who is the one that's voiced by Junichi Sawabe. And then, yeah, I think that's it. That's the 5. In the background, there's like a secondary character, Herlock Sholme, who is Sherlock Holmes, sort of in disguise. I think there was an issue with like the copyright, and so at first he couldn't be known as Sherlock Holmes or something. Anyway, he's there as well as a character, but he's not a main lead in the first part of the series. He will get his own route in the second game as like a bonus content, but first game it's just the main 5. So Lupin, Impy, Victor, Van Helsing, and Saint-Germain. Those are your main ones, and you have to unlock all of the other 4 happy endings before you can unlock Lupin. And I think for Lupin you have to finish his normal ending and the happy ending. So normal and happy. Does that make it clear? But it's really fun to follow. Like the steampunk atmosphere is fun. It's fun to get to know all the characters, and of course depending on which route you take, you get a different piece of the story, of like more about who the characters are and what their background is. That you get parts of that revealed in the true ending, but not as in depth. And of course the very ending for all of them is different than if you follow the true path. But Lupin is my favorite. From the get-go, he's like the main character that you should be following. Also, like in every other route, he like appears and like talks to Cardia about her wish and like about being happy and asking her if this will make her happy. And it's just like also kind of sad. Like he'll give her like little smiles and stuff, and you feel kind of bad because that's like the true path. I don't know. Maybe you won't care, but for like me, I feel bad because I'm like, oh, poor Lupin. And so it's just, it's nice. Like, especially the Otome games are just kind of like, they can cover a lot of like deep issues, but when you get to that happy ending, you just feel really good and happy. So the first disc does contain all of I say disc, but is that what they call it? Cartridge? The first game contains all of those routes and endings. I'm trying to remember if there was bonus content. Oh yes, each time you do that, you can unlock like a special like scene ending, which is usually something that involves like having their shirts off or partially off. I don't know. It was fun. It's like little bonus scenes that they do. So that was fun, and that's mostly contained in the first game. The second game, you get like bonus endings from all of the first, so it's like bonus epilogues for all of the main routes, and then you get 2 special routes that you can play, where you can have a storyline with Erlach Shome, or you can have Finis, and Finis is another character that appears in the first game that I don't want to give any spoilers away, so that's why I'm not saying more than the name. And then there's also a side story where you follow, it's called like Lupin's Gang, and you follow some of the characters there, and it is set like during the events of the first game. And it's fun. It's really like a bonus disc. You get more fun images throughout it. I like that, like in the Sherlock Holmes one, you get to meet Watson, and I like the character design for Watson. It was really good. But you get to see that and interact with Watson. But also because it wasn't a true sequel, it's easy to get through. You can get through all the endings and everything really quickly. And the same can be said with the third game, where it really is, again, bonus content endings. So you get special epilogues for the Finis route in the second game, and the Sherlock Holmes one. So you get the special routes for them. There's also like a special section where you can go on a triple date with all the characters. So you can do one where like you go on a date with Lupin and Van Helsing. That's probably my favorite. And or maybe just full of my favorites. And then like pair up all the choices like that. So it was just like fun content. And there's one like original story that you can process through and get to the ending. But again, there's not like different routes you can unlock. I think it's just you either get a happy ending or a bad ending, and I don't play for the bad endings. So I did complete all 3 of the games, unlocked all of the trophies and the CGs, the images. And it was a lot of fun. And now I'm on to a new game that I'll talk about when I finish that one. I'm almost done with that one. And I'm really glad that I got back into it because it is very relaxing. It's a nice thing to do when I don't want to, read. I don't want to read like that. I can play the game. You're still reading because you have to read all of the dialogue and descriptions, especially most of these still have the Japanese language track. So you're just reading the subtitled content. Of course, if you can speak Japanese, you don't have to worry about it. I don't have that luck. I only understand some of it. But yeah, super fun. If you're a manga reader or a light novel reader or an anime watcher, you probably like otome games and visual novels in general, because there are some that are not otome. In fact, I think I said earlier, my games on Steam, I think I have Clannad and on there, so I didn't play that. There's a couple other ones too. I don't remember exactly what I bought and then never played because I'm terrible with that, but soon. I'll get to it soon. Yeah, so if you do like that, check out some of my games, or if you are already a player and you want to make any suggestions or recommendations, feel free to do that. I'm always up for recommendations, and I can always tell you if I already have it or I'm planning to play it. That's it for this video. Until next time, bye.